Welcome, listeners. I'm excited once again to have my favorite therapist, Brian Burns, with us today. And the reason, I had you on not too long ago, and we talked about how to tell your how do you know it's time to divorce? How do you tell your spouse about wanting a divorce? And it was so funny, Brian. Just recently, I have the most amazing clients. They're all great people who want to work together, but this couple in particular, they're kind and they're just, it's the end of their marriage and they're going about it nicely through a divorce
Mm-hmm.
mediation. It's
Yeah.
still painful, but it was cute because they were concerned about how are we going to tell our parents and our
Yeah.
family. They were concerned about the kids too. I have a lot of resources for kids. I have lots of tools and things I could give them. But when they talked about how do we let our family know that we're going to be going through
Mm-hmm.
this, I kind of
Yeah.
thought, I'm going to call Brian and I'm going to do a podcast. So, welcome, Brian.
Well, good. Yeah, I like the topic. I've also been having frequent conversations along these lines.
Really?
Both with parents or couples that are in the process of first doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
then first divorcing, separating, and couples that have been divorced and are like navigating family relationships in that um, place that's
Yeah.
complicated and tricky, particularly with the ex family members.
Yeah.
Such a harsh word, ex family.
It is. And I would love to talk about that too. I'm so glad you brought that up because that is part of the issue as
Mhm,
well. They're close to the family, and that
mhm.
makes it hard. And
Well, navigating the family relationships is so important to many people, and it starts, like you're saying, when you first think about how to tell the people that you care about most, the
right.
relationships that you care about the most. So, yeah, good topic.
Wonderful. So let's just delve in. Let's just get your insight. So you've got this couple, and I guess what I was letting them know and kind of sit on a little bit is that you're doing this different. You're not fighting it out, and I think that's something that you can
Yeah,
share with them, that you're
yeah,
you're being kind to each other. You're both going to continue to parent. You're not shutting the door. And this couple in particular is planning on, for the time being, doing their holidays and everything together. That could change, I don't know, but for now that's the plan. And so I kind of left them with that, to remember that you're doing this a different way. Because I
yeah,
think sometimes, Brian, and maybe I'm wrong, sometimes it's a little bit easier if you've got the reason like he's an alcoholic or he's cheating on me, because then your
yeah,
family can understand that.
yeah,
But when you're
right.
too, and I do the same thing. I'm like, are you sure you want to get divorced when
Yeah.
I'm working with these great
Uh-huh.
couples? Because you
Uh-huh.
question it, because they're
Yeah.
kind to each other and loving. And so I think those people in particular have a really hard time addressing
Super.
it.
Yeah. Well, it's traumatic. I mean, I'm glad this couple is sensitive. They probably are sensitive to how hard this is going to be for not just them and not just their own minor children, but the family who loves and cares and is used to them being, you know, a family in one way and doesn't want to get used to them being a family in a different way. There's a book called The Great Divorce that talks a lot about the impact on um, adult children and extended family members, and divorce is just so hard, no
Yes,
matter how old, no matter how amicable. It's just a traumatic thing.
it is. I love that you brought up. I think I had that author on a podcast, so I'll link it back in the show notes. The Great
Wow.
Divorce. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
that's a
And
good
because I
get.
think, pardon?
That's a good get for a
Yeah,
interview. Nice
I
work.
know. Oh, thank you. People are so kind. But okay, so let's talk about how to approach.
Sure. Yeah, like the first to do it planfully, to make a plan, I think is the way to think about it first. And you can I mean, it's similar to when we tell children. It's having you are the PR firm for your family. And so to have a plan about the message that you want to put out to the world, and it makes a ton of sense. And the message is hopefully going to be one that's hopeful and positive. It's not about cutting people down or hurting anybody. It's about sharing the bad news of what's happening in a way that gives enough information to help people understand, but not so much information that it violates privacy and hurts people.
Right.
And it's all part of the message also. Well, it should focus less on why it's happening and more on what is happening. So the why, and I'm assuming we're talking, like to have to consider who you're talking to. If it's your
Right.
parents that you trust and aren't going to be on social media with your personal information, you might share
Right.
more details about what happened that led to the divorce. But if it's the family friend, then you're going to be more careful and simply say there were just some problems that we couldn't quite resolve and stay married, and it makes more sense for us to not be married and reconfigure.
Right.
Thanks for your support.
Well, and it's interesting because what I've learned from some experts that I've had on that have talked about kids, your kids, they
Hmm.
really want to know the why. And
They
they
do.
are, they're saying, and so the kids are different in this, in what you're telling me, because the kids, you're not, of course, going to like throw out that you don't love each other anymore because that's scary for kids, but you're going
Hmm.
to do your best to really think through the why. And it's interesting, Brian, because when you bring this up, yeah, it's not anyone's business why, really, right? So you're
Right.
telling them
Yeah.
how it's going to roll
Hmm.
out. But
Hmm.
interestingly enough, a lot of the people that I ask don't really know why. They say, well, the
Really.
communication fell apart. Well, I'm not getting what I needed. And I'm such an odd attorney because in my consultations, I delve into this. I'm not a
Huh.
therapist, but I want to understand them
Interesting.
so that
Yeah.
I can get at the issue and make sure that this is the step that they want to take. And so I kind of think sometimes people don't know why. Maybe I don't know.
Huh.
What's your thought on that?
Well, boy, I've I guess I have a different experience.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, I think most of the people I meet are, like pretty clear about personally why they were so discouraged, so hopeless, so, stuck and just didn't want to do the same thing over and over again. Like they can go on at length about their own personal whys. But what they struggle to articulate, and maybe this is what you mean, is to say it in a way that would make sense to somebody else and be more like, because we had communication problems. It's just so general. Like that doesn't really
Right.
even mean anything.
Right.
Um, and it's cliche. So, just like what might be more honest is I tried really hard to be a better communicator and to not stuff my feelings and to be honest. And he did too, or she did too. But in the end, we just weren't good at hearing each other or something. And that's
Mhm.
also fairly general and cliche, but it's just more specific enough that it helps people. Like, I guess what people want, they want something that makes sense, that feels like this is okay to support. It's like okay to get on board with.
Right.
Because your parents don't want to get on board with your divorce if they care about their grandkids and
Mhm.
their son-in-law or daughter-in-law. They don't want you to do it because it hurts them. So like just enough information that's like, I really tried. We really tried. Like we
Mhm.
exhausted all effort. We did everything that we could and still be healthy, to not lead to this outcome. But even doing everything that we could, this is the best outcome, as hard as it is. And
Right.
here is our plan about how we want it to go. We want to be amicable. We consider ourselves still family, even though we're in different homes. We never want our children to be exposed to negative talk about anybody.
Yep.
So we're putting you on notice to not talk bad
Right.
about, anybody, no matter who's an ex or an in-law or whatever. Um, and that's a powerful and strong and confident message that I think most people would respect. It's like you're taking leadership for your own family and the message that you're putting out to the world, and how you want people to be treated. So, and ideally you do that together in a we message. And I've worked with parents or couples that have done, like, they drafted an email that went to a large group of family and close friends, and that was how they, like, the main way that they shared the message. And it was a we statement, and it was very kind of collaboratively worded. I've worked with other people that just are not able to be collaborative in that way,
Mhm.
and I think that they can still be healthy in how they share it one on one. Like, to for example, you are in charge of each person is in charge of telling their own family and their own friends, and they have some understanding of what will be shared and what won't be shared. And you kind of agree to stick to the script, but you just can't do it together, because of so much hurt or so much disconnection. Then
I just want to jump in and say I love what you're saying. It's all about being intentional,
Yeah, yeah. Thinking
planning.
about the audience, thinking about who you're talking to. I can't tell you how many times, and it's human nature, so I don't judge, but, like, people will reach out to their in-laws, their parents-in-law, their sister-in-law, their brother-in-law, who they were close with, like
Mhm.
valued family members, and want to set the record straight. They'll want to, like, share their perspective of that family's son or daughter, brother or sister,
Right.
and it backfires so badly, because you have a story about why your divorce is happening, and what your spouse's fault is, and you want that to be public and verified, validated.
Mhm.
um, but a person's family is like, that's not the audience. That is not the people that are going to want that information, and it will just make things awkward. So I wouldn't do it. It's a mistake. Like, it just causes divisions when people do that, and it's really hard to maintain good relationships with the in-laws after a divorce, because you kind of have to be fake in a way. Like, you can't share the whole story. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
some exceptions you can, but in as a general rule, you can't. And you have to be comfortable just being okay with that, and accepting it. And some people aren't. I mean, I've just met with people that say, as much as I love that side of my family, I can't have a relationship with them anymore because it's too fake and it's too painful and there's too many reminders. And I think that's fine. Like, as long as it's planful and intentional, then people need to do what's right for them. It's when it's just impulsive and reactionary and, like,
Mhm.
done to get revenge or set the record straight, that people end up regretting those choices.
Well,
So
and
I
I
kind of went
love
off on a tangent there, I
no, I
think.
like this. So there's things I pulled out. I love how it's kind of like you were saying, be a united front.
Yeah.
Whether even if you can't tell people together,
Hmm.
plan it out.
Yeah.
Plan out what should we tell people?
Hmm.
And agree. I mean, it would be a gift that you could give the other person. And if you have kids, an absolute necessity because you don't want even friends to be saying bad things about,
No, no,
so it's
no.
catch it now
Right.
while you
Right.
can. When you talked about in-laws, this specifically is an issue. In fact, I have a
Hmm.
case where
It's hard.
mom has a big job and dad has basically really raised the kids. They both have jobs, but she's a physician and
Okay.
she's busy and on call and misses holidays. And her husband is very close to the in-laws and they're out of town. They're not out their back door. And it's I think he's a little fearful about losing that relationship because
Sure.
he spends a lot of time with her family
Mhm.
without her even present.
Mhm.
And I think I like that you said to maybe be prepared that it is going to be hard.
Mhm. Yeah.
But do you have any tips for someone like that who really wants to maintain that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have good boundaries. I would just, recognize that blood is thicker than water, and you're never gonna wanna undermine their relationship with their own biological family member, and that, uh, you don't make it about so you make the relationship about them and your relationship with them, and not about like an axe to grind or about the the family member that you're divorced from, if
Right.
that makes sense.
It does. And I think that you could use that when you come together and talk to them to assure them, as
Mhm.
long as it's okay with you, I still want to come and visit you
Right.
with the kids. And I don't want to talk about this subject, but I
Uh-huh.
still want to be here. Or say
Perfect.
you know, yeah, play tennis with the brother in law or hunt or
Mhm.
whatever it is to maybe just
Mhm.
set the stage together. So I mean, that's kind of about the best thing that you can do. As we're talking about this, I can't help, and you brought up the gray divorce, and I can't help but think about those grown kids, and I think this is hard for grown-ups as well. And I've watched my husband. It wasn't from a divorce; it was after a death and bringing a new person in, but
Yeah.
talking to your grown up kids about divorce because that affects them too. It affects the holidays. It affects. So how do you approach that different? Say your kid's 35 years old, married and has a family. Do we kind of have the same parameters where maybe you go in together and if you can?
Yeah, I th y yes, it is very similar, actually, that how you tell adult children versus how you tell, minor children. um, because they have the same responses. Like it's the same fear, it's the same wishing it wouldn't happen, it's the same not wanting to be in the middle. It's the same sadness, that old. In fact, potentially even more, because
Yeah.
as adults we recognize kind of the gravity and the weight, emotional weight of a thing like this, whereas younger children just don't have the capacity to really contemplate things that heavy.
Okay,
They're very
that's so good to know,
yeah.
especially because I do have so many clients and they kind of blow off those adult kids.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we don't have minor.
absolutely.
Even
Yeah, it's like
like
we don't have to worry about that.
right there, yeah. But I think
Legally, you don't have to.
right,
Right.
right.
But
But they still need you, and you still want it to be healthy. So,
yeah,
um,
you
I
just
feel like
can't put them in the middle. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that they
right,
are not your confidant about their other parent. They can't be, and not be put in the middle. So
right.
that's kind of the biggest, like, don't make it about you and your loss when it comes to your adult children. Make it about them.
But I love this moment, Brian, because this is one of those moments where I'm going to get better at mediating
Mhm.
because all those people that have those grown up kids, I'm going to stop and take a moment and let
Yeah.
them know that this is maybe even harder on them than if you would have done this when they were in grade school. Because I
Mhm.
think that's going to flip a little switch for them, to think through a little bit how they're going to talk
Yeah.
to their grown children about it
But
because I've seen the hurt of mine was having a new person in as a stepmom.
yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that.
No,
I mean, we can, and adult children have more capacity and resilience to handle hard things, but it doesn't make them easier. They're
no,
just, if not as hard, if not harder. Yeah.
yeah. Agree. So good. So we've
Mhm.
talked about how to tell your family, your friends, your kids, your grown kids. I kind of feel like we've talked about what we wanted to talk about
The,
today,
the
Brian. Is
only
there?
other the only other soapbox I'll get on is about social media. Like, don't,
Oh, let's
like,
talk. Yes.
yeah. What I mean, I think social media is an appropriate way to share news with the masses, when it comes right down to it. But again, in a planful, hopefully collaborative way, and
Right.
if not collaborative, then at least not undermining or filled with drama. But I think that it would be horrible if I were a close friend or a family member to find out via Facebook or Instagram that, my loved one was getting a divorce. So don't do that to your people you care about. Tell them
And yeah,
in a more personal way. I mean, I don't um get all worked up about whether it's face to face or on the phone or
even
email. I mean,
email, you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like whatever. I think that um, as long as it's personal and not a, group, mass, public kind of thing, then you're okay.
Yeah, in fact, I've seen that where people will, and it's so hurtful to the other person,
Yeah, yeah.
and it leaves you so confused. And I've seen it where they're like, "Yes, pray for me. We've decided to go our separate ways. Does anybody have someone to, like a therapist who could deal with repairing from
Hmm.
someone who's abused alcohol?" You're like, "Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
oh
I
yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
know this." So
No,
you're
no,
going
no, no.
around and, yeah, telling the world bad
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's a.
yeah. So maybe no social media. Like, do you really have to put it out there? I mean,
I mean, I
change
don't.
your about
Yeah,
information.
yeah. Working in this field, I just feel like I would not. I would just err on the side of that's just a personal thing that I will share with the people that I want to know, and the rest of the world doesn't need to. It's just not important that the rest
Right.
of the world knows.
Well, and Brian, now we're getting toward, this has gone so fast, they always do. So we're getting towards the end of the saddle up segment. Is that your one little tidbit, your piece of advice? Don't blast it on social media.
Yeah, I mean that feels like it should be a given, though. It's I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything else you'd want to share for the audience?
I guess my saddle up comment would be about w- um, be uh, be intentional and planful and think about the future. Like, in what way do you want to maintain relationships? And with that in mind, think about what you say. Like a great this just came to me. It's a good memory. I worked with a guy and his wife, but he said it, so that's who I'm quoting. He, like, when they were making their plan, what they wanted to share was essentially nothing that we're going to say is more important than the love and the care that we have for you, for our family, for our kids, for each other, even though it's bad news. And that just set the tone for
Right.
continuing relationships. Like, we don't want to say anything, or nothing that we say is meant to get in the way of our relationships, and that we care about you and love you.
Oh, that's so good. I'm writing it
Yeah,
down.
it's so powerful to just set the stage in that way. And then you can say things like, um, this has been super hard. Like, it's been traumatic. We've fought like cats and dogs, but we've also kind of reached a place where we're at peace with the decision. Like, that's hard news, but it lands, easier when people can. That's it. People want to know that they're not going to lose you, and they're not going to lose their grandkids, and they're not going to lose
Right.
a daughter or son-in-law that they care about.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so good, Brian. Thank you so much. Okay, so if people want to connect with you, Brian, what's the best way to do that?
Via my website, www.mnrelationshiprepair.com. I also have a podcast, so plug for Bad Weather Podcast, all about men and divorce and doing it different.
Yep. Awesome.
That's that,
Perfect. It's for the
that's
guys.
that's a tagline I've heard somewhere, but we don't use it.
You can use it. All right, Brian. I so appreciate you taking the time always to pop on with me. I really,
Yeah.
really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Great to talk to you, Lisa.
You too. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.